Learning English with English Faculties.
All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. We're decoding the ultimate psychological battle in Macbeth, Act 1, Scene 7. If you're prepping for your ISC board exams, you already know this scene is an absolute goldmine. Today, we're going to break down the 10 most crucial 10-mark essay questions you're likely to face, giving you the exact arguments, themes, and quotes you need to completely nail them. Now, here's one of the absolute toughest core essay questions they can throw at you. Was his tragic downfall caused by his own unchecked desire or his wife's manipulation? To figure that out, we're taking a journey directly inside Macbeth's mind, tracing exactly how his initial moral paralysis slowly mutates into a total, unhesitating submission to evil. Just to give us a clear roadmap for tackling these prompts, we've split things up into 5 quick chapters: the double trust and conflict, vaulting ambition, rhetoric and manhood, the execution plan, and finally, mastering the essay. Okay, kicking things off with Chapter 1, the double trust and conflict. So a classic 10-marker will inevitably ask you about Macbeth's internal conflict and his deep fear of retribution. In his opening soliloquy, while he's intensely debating the assassination, his hyperactive imagination actually works as his best moral safeguard. He's terrified of earthly karma, or what he famously calls even-handed justice. He knows deep down that violent acts are basically bloody instructions that inevitably return to plague the inventor. Basically, he's terrified he'll be forced to drink from his own poisoned chalice. And that brings us to the massive essay theme of the double trust. You've got to look at how his intended regicide completely shatters sacred Jacobean social expectations. First off, as a kinsman and subject, he owes Duncan absolute loyalty. Second, as a host, he should literally be closing the door against murderers, not holding the knife himself. This really proves that, initially at least, he's a man of conscience who is acutely aware of his moral duties. Another major angle focuses on King Duncan's character and Shakespeare's heavy religious allusions. Duncan's flawless, incredibly meek leadership magnifies the sheer, unthinkable horror of the crime. For Macbeth, this triggers a terrifying vision of apocalyptic cosmic outrage. He imagines pity itself as a vulnerable, naked newborn babe, or angels, trumpet-tongued, pleading against the deep damnation of Duncan's taking off. It reveals this profound, subconscious terror he has of eternal punishment. Moving right along to Chapter 2, Vaulting Ambition. Listen, if you are tackling an essay on his fatal flaw, this quote is absolutely mandatory. After discarding all his moral objections, he flat out admits he has no legitimate reason, no spur, to kill Duncan. The horse riding metaphor here is just brilliant. He compares his dangerous desire to a reckless, inexperienced rider trying to vault onto a horse, but leaping way too far and falling disastrously on the other side. His ambition simply outpaces his ability to control it. In literary terms, we call this unchecked ambition his Hamartia. So for essays asking if his downfall is self-inflicted, you can point out that his conscience technically wins the moral debate here. But just acknowledging this fatal flaw leaves the psychological door wide open for disaster. All right, Chapter 3, Rhetoric, Manipulation, and Manhood. Now, watch closely how Lady Macbeth enters the scene and just systematically strips away his moral objections. An ISC question will frequently ask you to analyze her rhetorical strategies. Notice how she completely redefines the concept of manhood. To Macbeth, being a man means restraint, honor, and acting within the bounds of humanity. But Lady Macbeth totally twists this. She redefines manhood as a ruthless, Machiavellian willingness to seize power through murder. She brilliantly and brutally weaponizes emasculation and shame. By mocking his masculinity and comparing him to the cowardly cat in the adage, the proverb about the cat that wants the fish but is too scared to get its paws wet, she makes the murder a literal litmus test for his courage and for his love for her. Safe to say, her motivational speaking style is absolutely ruthless. And that leads us right into the essay topic on the subversion of motherhood and the natural order. To prove her unyielding resolve, she claims she would brutally kill her own smiling, nursing child if she had sworn to do so. For top marks, you've got to contrast this deeply unnatural, violent act with Macbeth's earlier vision of pity as an innocent, naked, newborn babe. She proves she's completely purged her feminine compassion, demanding he match her ruthlessness. Yeah, she definitely wouldn't be winning any Mother of the Year awards. Okay, Chapter 4, The Execution Plan and Hypocrisy. Having completely dismantled his ego, Lady Macbeth then hands him a tactical blueprint that totally flips the power dynamic. To conquer his fear of failure, she outlines a very concrete 3-step plan. First, she's going to heavily intoxicate Duncan's chamberlains with wine and wassail. Second, this totally disrupts their cognition, turning their memory into a literal fume. And finally, they'll just use the guards' own daggers to kill the king and frame the innocent men. By giving his hyperactive imagination a clear, actionable path, she completely removes his fear of the unknown. And just like that, Macbeth is won over. The scene concludes with this incredibly chilling rhyming couplet. False face must hide what the false heart doth know. This perfectly addresses the essay theme of appearance versus reality. It marks a total shift in power, transitioning from Macbeth's firm declaration of, "We will proceed no further in this business," straight into his final submission to total hypocrisy and deceit. Finally, Chapter 5, Mastering the 10-mark essay. Let's bring it all together for your exams. Returning to the hook we started with, a truly top-tier answer has to capture the nuance. You really need to argue that, while Lady Macbeth absolutely provides the execution plan and the emasculating rhetoric that pushes him over the edge, Macbeth himself identifies his own vaulting ambition before she even enters the room. The seed of the desire is entirely his own. So whether your prompt focuses on religious illusions, the subversion of motherhood, or the double trust, anchor your essay with these key takeaways. Show the examiner that you truly understand the psychological disintegration happening within the text. Frame these quotes and concepts as your ultimate toolkit, consistently contrasting his traditional views of honor with her ruthless redefinitions of power. I'm going to leave you with this final thought for your exam prep. We saw how Macbeth's vivid imagination initially acted as his moral safeguard. But did Lady Macbeth destroy his conscience? Or did she simply weaponize his own imagination, turning his greatest asset into his ultimate liability? Think deeply on that as you study. What do you think truly sealed his fate?